know if the audio is even going to work for this one, but we were going to be on the boat today. And this is what it's looking like. Summertime in Florida is just the best. You can pretty much count on a period of rain every afternoon. And we are getting some serious rain today. I'm just standing on the back patio right now. So, also just realized, like, we didn't have a lot of video footage for the next video, but we're trying to be very consistent about putting videos out every single Wednesday morning, because I feel like that consistency is important. So yeah, we'll see how tomorrow is. Hopefully we can get some footage tomorrow. Obviously, when you do these kind of things, you have some B-roll stuff in places. We have a tiny bit of footage. I might have a few minutes here or there that I could splice together, but nothing really interesting. I do think we'll do a shorter video this week anyway. I've noticed that the last few videos have been almost exactly 20 minutes long, and they're just... I think maybe that's too long for these first few videos for a channel. I don't think anybody's really watching the whole 20 minutes. And the whole metrics thing for YouTube is based on watch time. So I guess my goal should be to get, people to watch an entire 10-minute video. That would be phenomenal for us if we could do that, rather than having them watch a couple minutes of a 20-minute video.
The next day.
Well, today was going to be our backup day for going to the boat, especially since this is the day before we release videos. This is a Tuesday. And, we can't seem to win for losing at the moment. It is just one of those times when it's just not working. So, it is what it is. Jenny and I are just hanging out.
Hi.
So, unfortunately, with the weather, there's not a lot of boat stuff going on. We do have some footage that we'll put together to just keep putting stuff out at the right time. I have no idea what this audio is going to be like either, but we'll figure it out. So this will be a quick little point about certain things. So I think a lot of us who do these sort of things have tools. We have a garage full of stuff, or somewhere we've got our collection of tools. Those are not the tools I bring to the boat, or that I leave on the boat. Now, we're in a very safe place. There is no expectation of anybody coming onto this boat except myself or Jenny. But, there's no reason to tempt fate. So what I did, I went by Harbor Freight. There's one relatively close to the marina here. Got things that, if they were to get stolen, if they grew legs and walked away, it would not hurt my feelings. And this, you can tell, like, a lot of the stuff is still in plastic. Just some gloves, some screwdrivers, some wrenches, very, very basic stuff. Nothing that is a replacement part, nothing that is going to be staying as part of a system in the boat, right? So even things like zip ties, those are temporary things, right? Those are never going to be the zip ties that I wrap a bundle of wires with, or that I would leave on something permanently. Those are really just, if I need to hold something temporarily, I'll use these cheap little zip ties and then just snip them off at the end. And I got a soft-sided bag just because it crushes down easily. Space is always kind of a factor. And the metal tool cases that I have at the house, if I bring one of those down here and it falls off of something, it's going to take chunks out of wood. The corners of it will eat into things, and I just really didn't want to do that. So soft-sided bag, cheap tools that if they get stolen, not going to hurt my feelings. And that's kind of it. Just a little point, quick point about tools. We do have a box of spares. Like there's some spares in there. That was on the boat when I bought the boat. So, but everything else is, everything else can. I don't want to say can be stolen. I've said that a couple of times, and I really feel like I'm tempting fate by saying that. But everything else is low value. Even the stuff that's original to the boat is now, so old that it really isn't worth anybody's time or effort to take anything off the boat at the moment. Obviously, that's going to change. And as it changes, we will make adjustments to our, sort of physical security plan for the boat and how we deal with different things, what we choose to do with space. This is a great example. I mean, nobody cares about that radio. That radio is horrible. But I'm sure it was great back in the day. And the same with like the speakers. Let's see if we can get a shot of a speaker up here. Does music still come out of them when you turn the radio on? It does. And that's cool. It's not great sound quality, and we wouldn't expect it to be. But you can see there's some up there as well. So really no reason for massive physical security effort at the moment. Plus, where we're located, as I've said before, is in a secure area. So really nobody can get on the boat anyway. So it kind of doesn't matter. But when it came to tools, that was just a thought that I wanted to share with you for anybody else who might be doing this. Now, I grew up on a boat. The boat I grew up on had a machine room in front of the engine room with a drill press and a vise and nice tools. When my dad commissioned the boat, it came with tools specifically for the boat. That's really smart. It makes life so much easier when you can fix a problem yourself, and especially when you can fix it right next to the engine room, which is most likely where the problem's going to be. So that was a whole different situation. This boat is much, much smaller. There's far less space to keep tools on the boat anyway, so I just at the moment keep kind of the basics. And we're not doing like huge mechanical or cosmetic projects. So we're not doing any cosmetic projects at the moment, but we're not doing huge mechanical projects either. So I was watching somebody, and I wish I could remember which channel it was, but he was changing out 4 air conditioning units, which is a fair amount of work. And for some reason he couldn't find an HVAC tech, or the one guy he found didn't want to do the job. So, he was pulling vacuum on the HVAC unit so that he could charge it with Freon and everything else. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to let you know now. There are certain things that I think it's smarter for me to have a technician do the things that a technician is trained to do. So yes, I'm a pretty handy guy. In fact, in my background, I have some jobs in the Army where I did some pretty complicated things. I can completely desolder and resolder a printed circuit board. I hope I never have to use that. But when it comes to a lot of these things, there's also some physical restrictions for me. So I broke my back in a couple of places a number of years ago, and I got a couple of titanium rods in there and some screws and nuts and things. And so I'm always cautious about how much I'm doing and sort of why I'm doing it. What's the risk reward calculation for doing it? So for me, checking on something electrical with my meter, no problem. that's easy for me. If somebody said, hey, do you want to help me pull the heads off a set of, pair of Crusaders? No, I don't. Because if something goes wrong and I tweak my back, then I'm out for days, and it just is miserable. So I am always going to evaluate the work we're doing based on a number of things, like everybody else. How long is it going to take? How much is it going to cost? What can I do? What do I require somebody else to do? But in addition to that, I'm also thinking about what it means to me personally. If it involves heavy lifting, if it involves trying to do boat yoga and get, the top half of my body over the top of the port engine, those things always, factor into it. And I was talking to my oldest brother about this the other day. There's sort of a couple of different things you pay for, right? So, if you don't need to haul the boat out and you can do the stuff in the water, that's kind of one cost. And then if you have to go to the yard and get the boat hauled out, that's a whole different thing. But there are some things you can't do otherwise. You cannot avoid those things, and that's okay. If you have to do them, you do them. And sometimes you just need labor. You just need somebody, a body that is physically strong and can lift something, scrape something, whatever, hold a tool, turn a wrench. It's not necessarily skilled labor, it's just labor, and you need to pay for that. And then there's times where you don't know how to do it. When we had the electronics installed, I figured there was a segment of that I could probably do, but I've never installed a whole new Garmin setup and then programmed it and then run new electronics to old equipment that needed something in between to change the nature of the signal from what it was to what the Garmin needed it to be in order to read the signal. So I paid somebody to do that, and paid them a lot. It wasn't cheap, but to me that was worth it because I wanted to have some guarantees that it was going to work, and I didn't want to cross a couple of wires or just make some kind of mistake based on ignorance and burn out a brand new Garmin screen. That would hurt my feelings, especially knowing it was my own fault. So anyway, it's a beautiful day today. There's a little bit of a breeze. We're shooting everything in 4K, so if you're watching this on a TV screen, you probably know I'm sweating. If you're watching it on the phone, maybe not. Jenny's not sweating. It's unbelievable. I guess coming from a tropical island, she just can sit in the sun and it doesn't bother her. I come from an island in the North Atlantic, and I'm always hot here in Florida. It's miserable. That's not true. The winter's nice. The winter's very nice, and I eventually get acclimated, as we get into summer like we are right now. I'll get used to it again eventually, probably about right before the winter, or right before the summer ends and the fall starts.